Beware the father. The ominous warning haunted me. What had the bronze lady meant? Whatever it had been, I couldn't get those 3 words out of my head. They ranked right up there with 3 other terrible words. Well played, sister. When Bogmal had whispered that sentence in my head, I'd nearly crapped myself. It couldn't be true, could it? Could the blonde Hexen bitch really be my sister? I didn't want to believe it, but something inside me knew it wasn't a lie. Bogmal and I were tied to each other, and not just in the mortal enemy kind of way. She had connected telepathically with me during the Neurocraft test at Iron Grove, the test that should have killed me. Poor, poor Iris. Always one step behind me, she cooed. Just like the day we were born. We were born. Could she really be my sister? My twin? Had our mother given her up for adoption as well? It seemed too awful to consider. And while her revelatory words had thrown me for a loop, she hadn't stopped there. Always the favorite, she added. Always the one that had to be saved no matter the cost. But not anymore. I have my own magic now, and I will have what rightfully should have been mine in the first place. And the minute you take your last breath, that's when I will take you, and I will rot your relationships with everyone and everything that you love. The way she'd looked at Kier had made my stomach turn. She had been coming for me with an obsessive fervor for months, and she wasn't done with me yet. Not by a long shot. I'd been on the defense when it came to the Hexen bitch, spending all my time countering her moves, but not anymore. It was time to go on the offense. I would track her down to the ends of the earth and destroy her with my bare hands if it meant keeping my friends and family safe from harm. Kier planned to research the crap out of Bogmal's history when we got home. If anyone could find out her origin story, it was my bookworm boyfriend. For now, getting back to South Hill Village, to my house, to my kid, and to my own bed was priority number 1. After the grueling elemental tests, my body hurt as much as my brain, and I needed a couple of days to recover before I went to war. The car ride home from Iron Grove had been somber. I'd nestled Goldie, the poor goldfish from my Ignis craft test, in the back seat between our bags. Bob, my big cuddly chunky, sat in my lap the entire time instead of disappearing like he usually did. Since he didn't talk, I wasn't sure where he went when he wasn't with me, but I was ever so grateful that he managed to show up whenever I needed him the most. Kier and Linda, my violent gnome whom I adored, had both told me Bob was an imp, a witch's familiar, and more to the point, my familiar. However, it turned out that not every true craft witch had one. It was something I'd meant to talk to Thomas about, but from the moment I'd met the man in person at Iron Grove, chaos had reigned. Not his fault, mind you, but circumstances hadn't allowed us much room for shop talk. Bob appeared in the guise of a giant orange and white cat with a bobbed tail. He weighed at least 30 pounds, but it was 30 pounds of pure love. Since a circle, the symbol for spirit element, appeared on the cover of my grimoire, Bob had not left my side, which meant my cortisol levels had to be through the roof. Bob only showed up when I was stressed out or in danger. I guess finding out I had a psychopathic sister, a new element, and a puzzling warning from a ghost lady was enough to keep Bob nearby. On top of that, and maybe the most distressing, Linda was still missing. I was pretty freaked out that she hadn't returned to me since the fight with the snot gurgle, a monster as gross as its name. After Kier and I had freed Linda from the troll, the last thing I'd said to her was, run. The fact that she hadn't run back to the Iron Grove compound concerned me. She had several chunks of her body missing when she'd burrowed into the ground and made her escape. Zeb had used his djinn powers to scan the area where she disappeared and found nothing. I prayed that she'd made it back to South Hill Village and that she'd be home by the time I arrived. Instead, I was greeted by Evan Callahan, my ex-husband. Not the person I wanted to see. "What are you doing here?" I held Goldie's fishbowl in my arms. Evan's face registered surprise. His curly blonde hair and dimples gave his face a boyish charm. "Is that a goldfish?" His voice was incredulous. "Winner, winner, chicken dinner."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.